was 21 when I started. So that was, what's that, 24 years ago, I guess, something like that.
You flipped a property?
Yeah, I bought a place in Mississauga, Port Credit. It's right at Cawthron Park, Cawthron Lakeshore, so right behind Cawthron Park Secondary School. And it was a 2-bedroom bungalow. Flipped it. I mean, the numbers sounded good. I mean, I bought it for 158, which seems like a joke today. I get it. But at 158 at that time, they were really selling it for land value only. Like, that actually said that on the listing because the property was so run down and so beat up, and they thought it had some larger structural problems than it had. So I bought it at that, sold it at 209. Again, it's a small bedroom bungalow. You know, I know that's, I don't know, like a parking spot today, but in Toronto. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of lessons in that, you know, in that process, and the numbers sound better than they are, because, you know, there was a $50,000 spread there, but I only made $4,000. So there was just a lot of lessons, but it got me started in real estate. And I think what happened is, after I was done flipping that property, I started looking around at different strategies and started running some numbers. And I'm like, I don't get it. I did all this work for this amount of money. And I'm sure, like, it was the first time I did it, so I could have done better and I could have been more efficient and made a little bit more money and stuff. But I just didn't understand doing all that work for this amount of money. I wasn't getting any closer to the goal that I wanted. So when I started investing, the goal was to have enough passive income, you know, what they call passive income, or what I was learning was passive income at that time, like in quotes. So it was to have that enough coming in to pay for my mortgage payment, but every month by the time I was 30. That was it. Like, that was the whole goal. It wasn't like I didn't want world domination, didn't want a helicopter, didn't care about a super yacht, like none of that. I just never cared about that stuff. And I flipped a property, it made me a few $1,000, and sure, that, like, it made me income, but it wasn't passive. It didn't get me closer to my goal. I'm like, so why am I doing this? And then that's when I started kind of going down and looking at different strategies and things like that. And then the next property was actually a student property by McMaster. That was that. I want to say that's the second property. I'm just wondering if I'm forgetting one, but I think that was the second property.
Do you still own that one?
That's the one I still have that one today.
That's the one I helped fill?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you bought that?
You helped fill two of them. It was the smaller one, the one from the outside that looks like smaller, but then you get in, you're like, oh, it's actually kind of nice.
The one you own with your buddy?
Yeah. So we bought that. We were playing hockey together, men's league hockey, and I was talking to him about real estate, and he had always wanted to do something, but I don't think he wanted to do it himself, it seemed like. And then he had, at that time, he was, I guess he had been dating, or he was dating a girl who had gone to McMaster. And he started telling me about student properties and the McMaster in general. I'm like, let me go check this area out. So I checked the area out, checked out some properties, ran some numbers. And I was like, these numbers seem ridiculous. And so we bought that property. And it was ridiculous. I was able to earn in the first year. Now, we did our own renovations and things like that. But in the first year, after all that was done, and we could have paid a bit more for property and not have had to do that, we earned more money than I did doing the flip. Mm-hmm. So, and it was longer term, and then I was building up equity, and there was, you know, now looking back, obviously there's been a lot of appreciation over the last 20 years and stuff. So it was just a no-brainer, mm-hmm. right? And then I just started looking around for more.
Do you remember what the next few properties were in your 20s and how you bought those?
Not really. Like, after that, I think I did one more by myself, and then Tom and I Tom had done one or two or a few, I don't know the number, but he did some by himself. And then we kind of said, I you know, at one point, and I don't know where it was exactly in the timelines, but at one point, I don't even know the first property Tom and I bought together, to be honest with you. I think it was a student property, and that's the point where I found one. I had gone to an open house, and I was not interested in that property, but I talked to this older gentleman that was at the house as well, and he was leaving. And I was talking to him about just the market in general and the student properties. And he's like, well, I have a couple I'm thinking about selling if you're interested. And I'm like, well, let me see them. And then he took me over and saw them, and I liked one of them. And I'm pretty sure that's the first one that I ended up buying with Tom. And then since then, we've just kind of moved forward from there. But I can tell you, the one thing I do know is how I bought them is I was trying to buy them at that time with as little money as possible. I had no problem. At that time in my life, I had far more time available to me than I had dollars. So I was willing to invest more time. And if I could find if I could buy a property with no money in my pocket, or a few $1,000 out of pocket, whatever I had to do to buy with as little money as possible. That's what I was interested in doing.
Would you say you were over leveraged back then? Did it feel like you were over leveraged?
Yeah, but I was over leveraged, but I didn't have anything. Right. So I'm in my early 20s. So yeah, I'm over leveraged, but my total assets to that point were, I don't know, because I used it all. I remember on that first property, and I felt like it was like $20,000 or something, and that was like everything I had to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was over leveraged, but at risk in general, there was nothing at risk.
You didn't have anything to lose.
Yeah, like if you have $100 in your pocket and you have a $50,000 loan or mortgage or whatever, even if it's on you're over leveraged. You have your assets to debt are way off.
Yeah.
But
Worst case, you're out the $100 at
yeah,
that point.
but it just worked for me. I was like, that's how I got to get started.